the show today. We have a great guest lined up. His name is Bill C. He is currently the president of the New Jersey Messengers MC. I've known him for a couple years now. I got to actually watch him come up through the system, so to speak. Starting off as a hang-around prospecting, regular member into current position president. He has a bunch of years of experience in the sobriety world. He's dealt with relapse, came back. So he has a fantastic story. We always like to bring on people with some diversity to their story. So this way, anybody out there that's listening gets to hear maybe their tale and they can relate. We also have, obviously the motorcycle aspect of it, which, I hope there are people out there that are watching the show that are here for that as well. I've been trying to post actually some cool motorcycle stuff throughout the week as shorts and stuff. So, Bill, welcome aboard, brother. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. Glad to do it.
Right on, man. And, all right, so let's get into it real quick about the, how many years of sobriety do you have?
February 12th will be 7 years.
Wow. Okay, cool. And, you're an AA guy, right?
I am an AA guy.
You have a little bit of NA story, but you're AA.
Oh, well, drugs are definitely part of my story, but I was always pretty much an AA guy because it was always drinking before the drugs came in with me. Yes.
It seems to be a popular way for a lot of people. Whether it's, you're drinking first, then you do, stuff to keep you drinking.
Right.
Or you're drinking first, and then you're doing stuff to put you to sleep.
Right. Well, it'd be like, how can I make my Tuesday night last longer? After getting drunk, let's go do some other stuff. So, yeah.
Right on. And where did you wind up getting clean at?
This was back in 1994. I did the whole gamut. I did detox, rehab in Queens, New York. I ended up doing a halfway house actually in Manhattan. So I did that all happened back in 1994.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how long did you have before you relapsed?
Oh, see, I would go years actually. I would go years. There'd be spans of years of complete sobriety, and then it would be smoke a little weed, take a drink here, take a drink there. So throughout those 30 plus years, it's tough to say exactly the time in between, but there's been 4 or 5 solid slips along the way.
Okay. I mean, and that's I've heard that tale, and then I've heard the people that are couldn't get past 90 days.
Yeah.
So, I think it's to each his own.
Right.
That's why this program is set up the way it is.
Yeah.
Nobody runs a perfect program. Nobody's story is the same. You might hear stories or whatever that, you can relate to or whatever, but everybody's got their own individual story.
Correct,
so,
yeah.
How old were you when you started drinking, man?
Oh, this goes way back, single digits. I remember this very clearly. Back when I grew up, there was a lot of parties, a lot of family parties, a lot of cocktail parties, when I grew up. And I remember being very good at getting sips of beer. It was really beer. It wasn't really alcohol, but it was beer at a very early age. Single digits, like I said. And they were all the adults were all too willing to, give me a little sip and watch me change.
Right.
And I tell you what, I loved it from the very first sip. I just loved it. The very first sip, that warm feeling that comes over you, and I loved it from the very first sip.
So my parents didn't really drink.
Yeah.
They drank here and there, but there was never really alcohol in our house. But I'm kind of in the same boat though, like where I remember going to my grandparents' house and my pop giving me a couple swigs of beer, or my uncles would be always drinking and stuff like that, and be like, give you a sip. I remember just loving the taste of beer right off the bat. Man.
Yeah,
and that was one of those things too that I'm one of those people that actually likes the taste of beer. So
I loved it, yeah.
There's a push right now for non-alcoholic beers and all that.
Right.
You know what, man? That scares me. I think that might be enough to trigger me.
Yeah, I mean, there might have been a time where I would be okay with that, but by the end of my drinking, I didn't drink to be happy and silly and giggle. I drank to be completely annihilated and fucked up.
Yeah, unfortunately, same boat, man. There was no shut-off valve. There was no, drink one or two. It was, as soon as it hit my lips, it was game on, and
Yeah.
there was no stopping, man. And it's, that's basically why I know it's why. I quit, because at the end I was just blacking out every time, and I'm like, I'm going to kill myself or somebody else, man. This is not going to be good.
Well, yeah, like they say, sick and tired of being sick and tired, man. I was the same thing. I mean, in those early years, I remember my alcoholic, ability to manipulate, and as we are so good at. I mean, I can remember when these parties would happen, I would know not to ask for the drinks right away. I'd have to wait until till the laughter was a little louder, and then I made my move, and then after a time I realized all I need to do is like act cute, and I'll get what I want, and it was true every time. It worked every time. You wait for it to get a little crazy, then you come into this cute little kid, and everybody's willing to give you the drinks.
Because they're all sauce, dude.
Yeah, they're already sauce.
It's just... And so you grew up in Queens?
I grew up all over. I mean, my father was an alcoholic, so I moved quite a bit. I did a lot of time. I spent my actual teenage years in Queens, New York. Yeah.
Okay.
Flushing, Queens.
Right on. And then what after that? You went in the military, though, right?
During that time in Queens, I did join the National Guard, and I didn't do the best I could because it was right in the middle of my worst time.
Right.
But I did. I was in the National Guard. I was a 13 Bravo cannoneer for the National Guard.
Well, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. I mean,
I guess that's kicked it a little bit further down the road, right?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we'd be on the bus. I mean, we took a bus to Fort Campbell, Kentucky one time, an 18-hour bus ride, and everybody in the back of that bus had cocaine on them and was drinking. All the soldiers that I was with, so it was a party 24/7 whenever I was out doing training.
Yeah, training.
Yeah.
Training.
People would be
the
taking
weekend
turns,
getaway.
taking turns to go into the bathroom on an 18-hour bus ride. So by the time I got there, I cannon. What the hell's a cannon? I was like,
So then after that, you wound up, I guess, getting out or whatever, getting married, the whole kit and caboodle.
Right. Well, after I got out, I was in my halfway house in Manhattan. I met my let's just call it future ex-wife, for what it's worth. In the rooms, actually. Then things were beautiful. Things were really going well. We had a little apartment in Manhattan. It was the coolest thing ever, coming from Queens, living in Manhattan. I thought it was really cool. And typical with me, with all of my slips, I stopped going to meetings. You got a job, you're working, you have all these good things going for you, and slowly I start telling myself, I'll stay home tonight, and stop going to meetings, and I spent years as a dry drunk, really, and not working on myself, and not working on any kind of relationship or anything, just going to work, going to sleep, eating, same routine, just not doing anything.
It's funny how we can lie to ourselves, and I think it's a common thread through a lot of people's stories where the further you get away from the program, the closer you get to going back to drinking.
It's exactly true.
And, people don't want to admit that. And, I actually, I do it to myself sometimes. Yeah. I don't attend as many meetings as I should. And I think that there's times where I use the club as my meeting, my crutch. Which is, hey, look, dude, it's either good or bad depending on how you want to look at that. But, I feel like also being in constant contact with everybody in the club who's clean and sober, I have the ability to do that.
It's huge. It's huge because a large part of my story is isolation, and just even though I could be physically there, but not mentally in the space where I'm at, and it's not like that now with this club. I'm surrounded by clean and sober people, and we talk every day. I'm talking to somebody every day, and I'm for the first time, and I'm going to be 57 years old. For the first time in my life, these last 5 years since I've been in this club, I've actually surrounded myself with sober people, and I'm doing sober things with them, and it's a huge difference. It's a meeting on wheels.
I think that I still struggle with the isolation part myself.
Yeah.
That's just something I look at that though, and I go, I'm one of those guys where they talk about like, if you were on a stranded island, and you had this, and this, would you survive? And I'm like, dude, no problem.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit here and act like I could be in isolation in prison and be okay with it.
Right. But yeah, because you can't leave there.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, for me, I don't really have an issue being by myself a lot.
Right.
And that's not naturally good either. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with some alone time every once in a while, but to constantly just isolate yourself is not good.
No.
I think that also puts you in a position where you start thinking about stuff that you probably shouldn't be thinking about.
Absolutely, and when you are your own second opinion, for me, I get in trouble that way. I knew a lot of people. I was very heavily into coaching ice hockey. My son and daughter are playing ice hockey. I knew a lot of people, but I had no friends. I didn't have any friends. I would come home and plop my ass on the couch, and that would be it. And that was my story for decades.
So, what clicked this time around?
What clicked this time around is, I was married for 22 years. And my ex-wife now, when she finally came up to me, I had my last slip. It was in Canada. It was at a hockey tournament. I made a fool of myself, and I probably damaged my son's chances of even playing. I really screwed things up there. It was a huge, major tournament, and I screwed it all up, and she found out about it, of course. And when she finally approached me and told me that she wanted a divorce, my first thought was, yeah, I'm free. I can drink whenever I want. It wasn't even, oh my God, my wife of 22 years she's done, doesn't want any part of me anymore. I'm not going to be with my, not living with my kids all the time. None of that. My first thought was, I'm free. I get to finally drink whenever I want. And, lucky for me, I had neighbors who were in the program, and they knew both me and my ex-wife. And, I talked to them once. I did go to a meeting, and I talked to them once, and I told them what was happening, and I broke down in tears. It all just came out. And I realized that I did remember how to use some of the tools that I've learned in the previous years of playing the tape forward and all that. And, reality and fantasy are two separate things, and looking at it in reality, I knew that I would be right back where I was when I first came in, into rehab, and I was living like an animal. Way back when I was on my own, living like an animal. I mean, when I say animal, I really mean animal. I mean, I would sniff my clothes to see what I would wear that day or that week, which was less vile is what I'd wear. I had maggots, I had rats. I was living with maggots in my sink, rats. I did come to the realization that that's what I was destined for. Going right back to that. If I didn't make the right choice and go back and be serious and get a sponsor and work my steps and do the service that I've heard about for at that point over 25 years.
So man, I mean, look, dude, that's your rock bottom then.
Yeah, it was.
And some people have way worse rock bottoms than others, and I try not to. I tell new people. I just went to a meeting with Clutch, and there was a kid in there, and he was trying to do the comparison game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
don't do that, man. I want to have what you got. Look, man, you can't do the comparison game. You can't compare, somebody's bad stuff, their basement. Oh, man, you can't get wrapped up in that, man. You got to understand and know yourself. I think that's where another part of finally getting clean and sober comes into play, right? Like understanding that you go and look, man, I got two choices here. I'm either going to kill myself,
right?
And I don't mean like actually killing yourself. I'm talking about like drinking yourself to death,
right?
Or I'm going to try to make this work and get better,
right?
And so how many months did you have when you came in to the club? Or did you have like a year or so?
I had over a year by the time I met the messengers. Yeah.
Right on.
It was all. I mean, I was going to meetings, and there was a bunch of guys in the meetings that rode, and they were like, we go out every weekend. You should get yourself a bike. It's great. 20 guys. We go out. We go all over the place. And I was like, all right, sure. So I went and I bought a Road King Classic, man, and We went out riding once. There was 5 of us, and then it never happened again. Everyone had a reason for this, reason for that. I can't do it today. I can't do this. So I actually found the messengers online, and ever since that, I mean, it's been over 5 years. It was June of 2017 is when I first met the messengers, and my life's been completely different and much better since.
It's funny you're talking about it happened once. It's like that meme, and it shows like 30 people standing there.
Yeah.
Planning a ride. A week before the ride, there's, it's down to like 10 people.
Yep.
Day of ride, it's one guy standing there going,
Where's everybody?
It's so true, though, man. It's so true. I think that's why, with the club, it's you plan something, everybody's going to be there.
And it happens. It happens.
And there's no, I think that's one of the biggest points of attraction for me is that everybody in this club that's wearing a patch, because you can't get to the point of having a patch if we can't trust your word.
Exactly. Yeah.
Your word is bond.
Yes.
It's like that's you can't trust somebody's word, you got nothing, man.
Yeah.
And look, do we have points of disappointment and stuff like that? Obviously everybody does, man. But for the most part, shit happens to somebody in this club. We all, circle around and circle the wagons, and we make sure that person's taken care of, or they get a phone call, or, it's, I don't know why I just thought of this, but I remember coming in and as a hang around, and you know how we do dinner?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going, why do we do this? And I think I know I did. I either said it within earshot of Carp or I said it to Carp. And he looked at me and he goes, man, some of these guys, this might be like the only meal that they get today. Now, here I am. I have a house. I got a wife. I'm not one of those guys that lost everything.
Right.
But, man, did that hit home. Like, I was like, dude, yeah. Like, some of those guys,
equals,
it was like living lean, because hey, man, there might be one guy that's, 90% of his paycheck is going to get child support and alimony, and he's living in a shitty row home in Philly, and you know what I mean? Or, some guys that don't have family and stuff like that. And I think that's another big part of that. That's a huge, attraction point, is having, a big family behind you. And I think that's the other part of staying sober as well, because not only do you have, X amount of people that are around you that are clean and sober, like-minded people, a good portion of those guys that are hitting meetings all the time, and they're doing service, and they're doing all the stuff that they need to do. But then there's also that little bit of, you know what, man, if I fuck up,
I don't want to,
I'm going to lose my patch.
I'm going to lose my patch. I'm going to let my brothers down. I'm going to let me down. I'm going to let everybody down. And I don't want to lose my patch. I don't want to let my brothers down.
You work way, way too hard to get that.
Yeah.
So losing it or giving it up is, giving it up's a different story, but losing it is definitely like, holy shit, man. And I think that's going back to what I was saying, is like, that's where maybe I don't hit enough meetings, but I have people around me that are clean and sober, that are like-minded people.
Yeah.
And there's also that little bit in the back of my mind that says, hey, man, ain't worth losing your rag on.
And I'm surrounded by beautiful, sober, clean, reliable men. And if I'm not with them, I'm with my family. And I'm just completely surrounded by sobriety.
Yeah.
And it's 24/7, and it's a beautiful thing. And it doesn't mean that I don't sometimes get moments, or I don't even want to call it urges. If I can tell a story, the other day, I'm watching a reality TV show,
Right.
And it's about they drop these people off in the wilderness, and they have to fend for themselves. They're
It's
given
a loan.
basic tools.
Yeah.
Basic tools, right? And I'm watching.
Not to plug them.
Not to plug. I wasn't going to say the name, but
they're not paying me. So
anyway, I'm watching the show, right? And there's this. I call him a kid. He's 29, right? He's sitting and he's talking to the camera. They have the camera every day, and they're trying to document everything. And he's like day 70. And you can see the pain in his eyes, and he's starving. And he's just like, I really want to win, but I don't know how much more I can take of this anymore. I just really want to go home and have a beer with my dad. And here I am watching this show, right? And all of a sudden, I had a moment. I had a moment where, my son's 19 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, I'm never going to be able to buy my son his first beer when he's 21 years old, that rite of passage sort of thing. And
Right.
I'm sitting there in the moment, and I'm thinking about it, and it got into my head. It was like, why can't I just be able to drink normally, And that's a dangerous question to be in my head. But the tools that I have now, I'm able to separate fantasy and from reality, because I can sit there, and I started to romanticize the whole thing in my head. It would look something like this, hey son, happy birthday, let's go get a beer. Okay, Dad. And we'd be off to the bar, and everyone, we'd be smiling and laughing, and fucking violins would be playing, and angels would be singing, and we'd sit there like a fucking Budweiser commercial, and everything would be great.
Yeah.
But with the tools and the people that I have in my life lately, I'm able to separate that. And the reality of it would go a little more something like this. Hey, son, happy birthday. Let's go have a beer. Okay, Dad, let's go have a beer. First, there's a couple of things I got to go over before we go out, okay? I can't guarantee that I'm not going to get shit-faced. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to black out. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to get into a fight. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to get arrested. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to kill anybody. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to get a DWI. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to kill either you or me. But hey, let's go get that beer, Yeah. And it's like, I can't
Meanwhile,
make
the kid's
those.
like, nah, I'll pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking, in that small moment, how unfair life is. But, who the fuck ever said life needs to be fair? That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I can't do those things. I can guarantee, the only thing I can guarantee about all those that I said, if I did ever go out and have a beer and nothing happened, nothing bad happened, I guarantee that one, if not one, all of those things that I just mentioned eventually would happen, because I just like you said before, I don't have the switch.
Yeah.
So, the moment came. And it's crazy, because here I am watching this guy, like, he's eating grass to stay alive, and this moment comes into my head, and it doesn't happen often, but it was weird to like, all of a sudden I'm watching this reality TV show, and this moment comes into my head where I'm never going to have that opportunity to buy my son his first legal beer. And I missed it with my daughter too. She's 23.
Well, I look at it like you can buy her. You're just going to drink a soda on the side.
Right, yeah, but I meant, like the beer commercials, like you see on TV, where you go and you have you sit down at the bar, and I transfer all my wisdom to them while we're drinking a beer. It's not going to happen. But you know what?
Meanwhile, your wisdom is a mouthful of peanuts going,
my wisdom is I can't guarantee that I'm even going to come home. I might see you next week.
I don't have any moments where I want to drink, really.
Yeah.
I think my hardest time now is Christmas time.
Yeah.
And the only reason it's Christmas time, I don't even associate drinking with Christmas time.
Right.
I think it's just the amount of commercials that they throw on at Christmas time, like all the Crown Royal, they glorify this giant, like, everybody's cool, everybody's having a good time, party, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, if they really showed that, there'd be a couple off to the side arguing, screaming, and yelling at each other. One dude laying down at the table with his head in the goddamn mashed potatoes. The reality is it doesn't look as glamorous as they make it out to be. And I think that's just, I think it's because you're just being spoon-fed so many commercials that's the only time. Now, when I first got sober, I struggled in the summertime. I couldn't go to barbecues and stuff like that. Because I associated barbecues and picnics and stuff like that with a beer in my hand, playing quates. For you people that aren't from Trenton, New Jersey area, quates are like horseshoes, but it's a ring instead of a horseshoe. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things. But now, I I got 8 years. I'm not even
Right, and it wasn't like I was craving a drink at the time. It was more like
Yeah, it just puts
it
this
was the
thought in your
question.
head.
Yeah, why can't I drink normally? It's because you can't.
Yeah, because we're allergic to it.
We are.
You know?
And who says life is that fair? I don't know, maybe not. I don't know, but who says life is fair anyway? So, but there's other things that you do. There's other things. I mean, I've jumped out of an airplane with my son. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think that this is one of those things that I want to promote on this show is the fact that when you first get sober, you automatically go, what am I going to do for fun now? Mm-hmm. Because in your little sick mind, you thought every time you were drinking, you were having fun.
Yeah.
And everything in your life revolved around drinking. And so now you take that away and you're going, well, okay, well, what am I going to do? Dude, I have more fun now sober.
Yeah.
I don't want to say than I ever did drinking because I had some pretty crazy shit in my life, being in the music business.
Right.
But I'm having more fun now than I did probably like the last, 5 years of me drinking.
Sure.
Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's a beautiful thing not having to wake up the next day feeling like shit. Well, you know what? At the end, I didn't have hangovers either. That was part of the problem. There was no repercussions.
Yeah.
But
You were just sick all the time. You
yeah,
didn't feel it.
I don't have to wake up now and make phone calls
Right.
to ask anybody, hey, man,
What did I do?
did I do anything crazy last night?
Yeah.
Did I punch anybody in the mouth? Did I grab, somebody inappropriately? Did I, because boy, see, I went through stages of being drunk when I was a kid and I was younger. I was the angry drunk, fist fight, throw down, boom, getting arrested for fighting all the time, all kinds of shit like that. I quit drinking for 5 years. I wasn't sober, but I quit drinking for 5 years.
Right.
And I did, let's call it California sober. So I was, smoking weed a lot, but I wasn't drinking. Somehow, some way, when I came back to drinking again, I was the, I love you, man, dude. That I like. So nobody gave a shit.
Right.
A shat. Nobody gave a
good
shit.
shat.
Because if you're the happy-go-lucky cool guy, nobody says, hey, man, maybe it's time for you to stop drinking.
Right.
It's when you're an asshole, you're fist fighting, getting in trouble all the time. They're like, yo, dude, maybe it's time for you to stop drinking.
And that was a huge problem with me when I was actively drinking way back when, because nobody knew which Bill was going to show up. Was it going to be the happy-go-lucky Bill, or was it going to be the asshole Bill that wanted to kill everybody?
Yeah.
And eventually, I chased everybody that I loved away from me, out of my life, and I was alone. They were afraid of me. I hurt them mentally and physically. Everyone, my friends, my family, my mother, my sisters, my brothers. Nobody wanted to be with me because I was living like an animal. And sometimes I was this great guy. Sometimes I was a piece of shit. But you know what? Whenever I did have money and I was in that dive bar, everybody, all those strangers in that dive bar thought I was the greatest guy in the world because, hey, here's one for you, here's one for you. But, you get back home to your own family and they're afraid of you. And eventually they all leave because you're an animal and I'm left alone, and it was rough.
It's funny how you think that those people in the bar are your friends.
Yeah.
And then when you get sober, everybody disappears. So you're like, whoa.
I can't even tell you one person's name of all those people that I was a great guy for way back.
So
when.
you obviously you've got time now, and I know you have a good rapport with your kids.
Wow.
So you were able to square that up.
Yeah. Well, they never actually saw me drink, so that was the good thing because I stopped before they were, and all my slips were away from them.
Okay.
It was my brothers and sisters and all that. But
Now, did you square that up with them?
Oh yeah. I mean, every day. I mean, I've made my amends, and actually, I've helped every one of them out, one way or another. And,
Okay.
And they come to me for a lot.
So that's a beautiful thing, man.
It is.
I mean, you got
It
everybody in your life got to see it before you know.
Matter of fact, when I was on my way to go speak at a meeting, and I found out my stepfather was really more like my father. On the way, I got the phone call that he had died, that he passed away. On the way to the meeting, and I knew it was at Building 50 or 51 over there at Norristown Hospital. I knew that I was going to be the only one going to that place, and if I didn't go to that meeting, they wouldn't have a meeting for the people that were in that facility. Everything inside me wanted to turn around and just cry,
Yeah.
But I said, screw it, and I went to the meeting, and I just opened up to these strangers that were in there, and it was probably the best meeting that one of the best meetings that I can remember.
I was gonna say, you told them what happened.
Yeah.
See, but you know what, dude? There might have been somebody in that room that's been him hauling around about going to meetings and shit, and they're gonna see that and go, "Damn, dude, this guy's dad just died, and he still showed up for a meeting."
Yeah. And I was going someplace with this, but I kind of forget. I got sight.
Yeah.
I was going somewhere else with it. But anyway, yeah.
What? All right. So as far as riding goes, though, you're saying you didn't start riding until later on.
I was a late starter. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't have money. All my money was gone by Sunday. I never had any kind of money to get motorcycles.
Yeah.
I mean, I rode motorcycles. I rode friends' motorcycles, but I never had any money. And then by the time I got out and got married, living in Manhattan and all that, but still, it wasn't. I didn't have extra money for motorcycles. I mean, my money either went to getting completely messed up and fucked up, before I got sober, or being responsible and paying mortgage and rent and things like that. So yeah, I didn't start until I bought my first Harley Davidson in January of 2017.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to had Jesus. I don't know if I would want to have a motorcycle living in Manhattan anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have it there.
Man, that would have been you know what, dude? We're so used to riding around Philly.
Yeah.
And there's people that don't live in this area, and they're like, "Man, I can't believe you guys ride around there. It's crazy." And here I am talking about Manhattan. So it's probably the same thing, but
Yeah.
I can't. I've driven cars up there, and I just can't even fathom.
It's also a money issue. I mean, that's a very
Yeah.
expensive place to live, and we had 2 kids, 2 dogs, living in a like 2 pounds of bologna in a 1 pound bag apartment. It was nothing extra for that. So I've always loved motorcycles, and I've always loved the culture. Growing up, I just loved it, but I just never really had the opportunity until, strange as it sounds, I never had the opportunity until after I got divorced.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's the complete opposite of a lot of guys. They lose their bike and all that after they get divorced.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hey, man. Well, look, it's obviously turned out to be a good thing for you.
It's the old, God works in mysterious ways. It was. When I came back down to reality, it was a crushing blow. Yeah, 22 years of marriage. The kids are all involved, and they were very upset and hurt about it. And but I was that last slip could have brought me on a one-way path to destruction that my kids had never seen, and I didn't want to go back.
Yeah,
yeah. So strangely enough, maybe that was what turned it around and helped save my life, because I was, if I go back now at the age that I'm at now, I mean, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you can handle a lot more. If I have to go back to the way I was living at this age now, I'd be, forget it. I wouldn't last.
What, yeah, that's for sure too,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't even think about that.
My health is nowhere near what it used to be back then.
But you know what, though? You still have a really good rapport with your ex-wife.
It's quite amazing. We're friends. We just the other day, me and my current wife, Kristen, and 2 of her daughters, my stepdaughters, went down to the beach house that my ex-wife is renting, and we spent the day together on the beach. We've gone out before, so it's not only me. Yeah, I have a great friendship with her now, but so does my present wife. They were out swimming in the waves together, having a great time. I'm on the beach watching my wife and my ex-wife swimming together, and my first reaction after I keep on saying my first reaction. I've had many reactions to the divorce, but I was angry, like, fuck you. You're gonna leave me,
Yeah.
And I was all ready to do the whole male ego thing and have the resentments going, and just tit for tat. I was all ready to, oh, you want to do this? All right, so I'm going to do that. Like, just fight and argue the whole way. Like, show my anger, just hold that resentment and be angry all the time. And thank God that my neighbors, who knew both of us, that I mentioned earlier, they were the ones that really sat me down. And I for hours, I would sit down in this guy Mark's living room and break down in tears. And he was able to show me how to look at things, from a different angle, from a different point of view, from a different perspective. Like, what was my role in the whole thing? And
That's the
what
biggest
would
part.
you do? What would you have done if this was reversed? How would you react? I mean, it was a long time. It took a long time for her to finally be like, I'm done. And I was able to do that. And funny thing is, I did get a sponsor. I didn't know this at the time, but my sponsor, my neighbor sponsored my sponsor, was his grand sponsor, but I didn't know that when I asked him. So it was quite a nice little triangle going there. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned to, through the steps, working with the steps and doing the services. I learned how to it's not just about me, I got to that crossroads, and she was like, "You're going that way, and I'm going that way." I was standing there having a tantrum. How dare you tell me I have to go this way?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the crossroads, but I was never able to turn around and see the actual road that led me to those crossroads, and take responsibility for the things that I had done on that road that led me to where I was at that point, whether it was good or bad.
Yeah. Well, that's huge though, man. Like to look at it in an adult way and say, hey, what was my part in this?
Right.
Because, man, look, it takes two to tango.
Absolutely does.
It doesn't matter if, this person did that or you did this or whatever. There was a bunch of other stuff that led up to all that. It's not, unless you're married a complete
and
whack
it's really,
job. It starts off right from jump.
Yeah, well, there are such unfortunate,
and it has happened. Yeah, I mean, you find out your ex-wife, banged your best man or whatever at the wedding. You know what I'm saying?
That
like
might change.
Like
that might change your perspective.
You're like, wait a minute, dude. But
yeah, and it's a much better life now. I don't have that cancer of resentment growing in my belly for her, and neither does she for me.
Right on. And, obviously at this point, you got a great life with not only your family and stuff like that, but then, with club work and, sponsoring people and doing,
I help people as much as I can. I have not sponsored anyone, truth be told. I have not sponsored. And that's probably more on me still, some not having the confidence in myself to be able to actually one-on-one sponsor somebody.
Man, that's huge.
As much as this club has given me, showed me how to be, step up and do the right thing. There's still sometimes I'm all about trying to help people and do the right thing, but it's still kind of a little intimidating for me, I guess might be the word, to have that one-on-one, what if I fail type deal, even though I know the deal with sponsoring, and it's up to the sponsee, not so much the sponsor, but
but you still kind of take it on as hey man, this guy's life's in my hands.
Right, and the insecurities that I have, they're not all gone. It's not like you put the drugs, you're drinking the drugs down, and then next thing boom, everything you're Superman.
Yeah, we're not superheroes,
right,
man.
Right.
And the other part of that is that there's a lot of us out there, including myself. You get sober, you get clean and sober, you work the program, you do what you got to do, and then you realize, what, man, I need a little extra work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a little therapy, a little, outside stuff from, AA, NA. It's not going to cure everything.
Yeah.
They're still going to probably, most of the people are still going to have some type of little issue that they got to go, hey, man, I got to work this out.
Yeah.
But, all right, man, I think we touched on everything. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to bring up?
No, I think we did we did, covered the spectrum.
Right on. Look, I think it's cool that we can just chat and not turn it into a speaker meeting.
Right.
That's not what this is about. I want people to see the true people that are here. I want them to see both sides of your world, the sobriety world, the motorcycle world, whether you're a club or not. So if anybody out there is looking at this video and you think you do want to, you be a part of this, I'm always looking for new people to interview. You can reach me at soberontwoWheels@gmail.com. Also, I think in the next couple weeks we're gonna do something cool, man. I want to do like tattoo. I don't want to call it a contest, but I want people to send in pictures of their favorite tattoo and maybe a little explanation of why they got it. Because some people have tattoos where it's like, what, this has a lot of meaning to me. And the only reason I'm bringing this up was there was actually I did the interview with Phil Anselmo from Pantera. I did the remake of it, and a gentleman actually he commented that he watched that episode while he was getting a tattoo of Phil Anselmo on his chest. And I was like, dude, email me at soberontwoWheels@gmail.com send it to me, man, and then I'll feature it. I'll just be like, yo, dude, one of our listeners got this tattoo, and then I'll put it on the video. So if anybody out there is interested in doing that, feel free to email me, and we'll just try to start something new, man. We'll, get a
That'd
little
be cool.
different thing going on here. So
I would send one, and I mean, I got quite a few of them, but the one that hits most is just a simple little scroll that says, "No one will know the violence it took to become this gentle," and that goes back to what I was saying. I mean, that's the one I hold closest, really, not closest to my heart, but it's a big one. From the way I used to be, the animal that I used to be, treating my family the way I was, and everyone afraid of me, and just hurting people that I love. So but it's a simple little scroll. It's nothing fancy, nothing beautiful or anything. But.
Hey, man, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be the most elaborate looking tattoo anybody's ever seen. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I want you to send in stuff that you might think is cool, looks cool, and has maybe a little meaning.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just going to send something in that you're like, dude, that's a badass tattoo.
Yeah,
it
it
has
could be just
zero
badass.
meaning.
Yeah.
I just want to see it. I want
I
to
got
see
a
what it
few of
looks
them
like.
too. So
Yeah, man. I mean, my favorite tattoo is a W on each ass cheek. So when I bend over, it says "Wow," or I stand on my head, it says "Mom."
shit.
On that note, man, I want to thank you all for stopping by. Muttley, thank you for
thank
doing
you for
this.
having me. It was a pleasure.
Awesome, brother. Thank you
Pleasure,
so
brother.
much, and I want you all to have a great day. Thank you.